You're now listening to a Bobby Johnson beat. Hey, my main bitch and my savage man, bitch. I can get two for battle, hold me up on each of pink. I need to go.
Tune in to Too Much Media.
Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's get right into it. Today we're going to talk about Wizard Liz's comeback. So for those of you who don't know who Wizard Liz is, she is basically an online I wouldn't call her a dating coach, more of like a life coach. So she's like an online life coach who just discusses mostly woman-led subjects of like, you know, how to improve yourself in life, how to get the things you want in life, how to create relationships that are beneficial to you, and just all around motivation for women in order just to encourage them to basically, yeah, be a life coach, like, you know, improve their life. So a couple of months ago, I'm not exactly sure when, she exposed the fact that she was in a relationship with a man named Landon, and that not only were they in this relationship, but they were engaged to be married, and she was pregnant with his child. So after being introduced to Landon, they did like a Q&A on her channel, and now this was a big deal for the people who followed her because she had never actually really posted anybody other than herself, and I think a couple of times she had her sister on, but most of her videos are based on her kind of being more of a talking head figure and giving a breakdown of different philosophies and ideologies of how to change things up in order to improve your life. So for the most part, she didn't really have guests on her channel, nor did she really discuss her personal life and her relationships on her channel before introducing us to Landon. So this was a big deal because it was like, oh, okay, wow, she's kind of like opening up, letting her supporters know what is going on with her personal life. And this was a big change. She's about to get married and she's having a child, and this is her first child. She's quite young. So yeah, so she brought him on her channel. Now, soon after she showed us this man, an internet scandal ensues where he is caught messaging one of her supporters, trying to meet up with her, and in all honesty, basically cheating on her with one of the people who follow her, and then getting exposed for it by that said supporter. And Liz herself exposed the information. She didn't wait for the fan to do it or for him to, you know, leak the information somehow, some way. She herself went on the internet and told everyone that, hey, like, I'm done with him. This is what he did. And yeah, that's that on that. And so this created an uproar on the internet where everybody started talking about Wizard Liz and how, look, basically, because she spent most of her content, you know, being like a supporter of women and like explaining concepts to women of how to have self-respect and values for themselves, it was kind of like it kind of caught on to like the red pill space of like, see, look at these women who are always preaching these ideologies to you guys and how they also can't even live what they preach type of, you know, perspective of people started to get pushed on the internet, you know, as well as, you know, even the people who weren't on that side just kind of being like in shock of like, oh my goodness, I always listened to Wizard Liz and she always gave such good advice and she kind of motivated me to do a lot of things. So I'm shocked that someone with this level of knowledge, who I look to for kind of guidance on how I should live my life, wasn't able to even escape the things that she talks about trying to avoid as a woman. You know, it kind of made a lot of the people who did support her feel like, well, I guess there's no hope, because even she, at the hands of a man, was betrayed and humiliated. So how am I, little old me, who was looking to Liz as my guidance, as like kind of my big sister figure, going to be able to protect myself from these issues, you know? Now, after she exposed him and ended her relationship with him, obviously she was pregnant, I think at that time about 4 months or so. So she kind of just took a break from the internet and let the internet kind of ensue their wars and debates about the scandal. Now, Landon, he came on the internet and kind of just did a public apology and said that he, didn't mean for this to happen. And, basically, just kind of like empty apologies of just like, oops, my bad. Like, but it felt more like take a bow, where it was like, you're sorry you got caught, like it's not really like you're sorry, like you're not really sorry, you just wouldn't have done it if you were gonna be sorry about it. Like if you knew whether or not you'd be sorry about doing this before you did it. So if you were really gonna be sorry that you did it, you just wouldn't have done it. But you're sorry that you got caught, maybe. You're sorry that, we see you in a different light, maybe. You're sorry that maybe, like, you can't bamboozle us anymore, maybe. It's like more of like, though, like it's the consequences of his actions that he was sorry for, not really the action itself, because he really didn't have anything good to say. Like there was no like, oh my god, even like the fan misunderstood what I was actually asking her for. She makes jewelry and I was gonna go meet her so that I could buy some for Liz. Like, it wasn't even like he had something good. Like, it wasn't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, of course, we wouldn't have probably believed something like that, but it's like, at least something. Like, come on now. What do you mean? Like, after doing something like that, you can't just say sorry. Like, what? Like, you might as well just say, yeah, I did. Like, don't say sorry. Like, sometimes when people say sorry because that's what's supposed to happen next, I feel like at that point, like when I receive sorries in those type of situations, I just very much feel like just say fuck you. Like honestly, keep digging the knife in deeper. Just end it. Hit an artery. Because it's like, what are we even really doing right now? Like, what are we talking about right now? Like, you're not sorry. You just know what's next is to say sorry. So it just felt really silly. And ever since that happened, Liz took a little break from the internet, but as of yesterday, she's back. She came on the internet with a video titled How to Get Cheated On. Very tantalating title. Very good on her part. Very that's really, ooh, let me click. Cause it was kind of like, the reason I like that title too is like kind of like, okay, like you guys know me for teaching you kind of things, and that's all my titles are kind of more like, okay, like how to do this, what to do when this happens. If you're looking for she's more of like the advice guru type of thing. So it's like, instead of like running away in shame off of like the fact that I was supposed to be this person who knows not to get into this situation, and now the whole internet has seen me publicly humiliated, I'm gonna use that exact, scandal to continue doing what I do and reframe you guys seeing what happened to me in a way where I can still teach you something from this. Because a lot of people were kind of trying to drag her about that after it happened, of like, see, this is why you guys shouldn't listen to Wizard Liz and all these girls who come on the internet and all they care about is money and like, being like this type of girl and this, that, and the third. Like, look how they even lead you down the wrong path and this, that, and the third. Like, don't listen to these people. Just go and get dogged out by men, basically. Like, because it's not like the people who are telling us not to listen to Wizard Liz have like a better solution for women. At the end of the day, there's not really a solution for women when it comes to, having to navigate life and having to navigate the fact that we live in a world where men control a lot of how we're perceived. How your man treats you, or whether or not you have a man, or who the man is, or what he can bring to you and stuff like that, is a big part of how men decide whether or not to respect you, you know? So it's like, what is the solution then? Like, you're saying that Liz doesn't have the solution for us. Like, stop listening to her because, like, look now, she's been publicly humiliated. This is proof that she doesn't know what she's talking about. But it's like, okay, so what's the solution then? You're saying she doesn't have the answer. Do you have the answer? Are you going to take down the patriarch tomorrow or by yourself? Like, what's the answer then? Because you're trying to drag her down and ruin her career for a situation that literally was not her fault. Like, he's the one who did something wrong here. So, but instead of us like publicly shaming and like, you know, pointing the finger at the person who did the wrong thing, we're trying to find a way to flip this on her head to continue to embarrass a pregnant and vulnerable woman who decided, instead of like, you know, protecting this man from, you know, continuing to cause her harm, to publicly come out and say, hey, this is what he did, and I'm not putting up with it, you know? Which, to me, is standing on the principles that she was teaching in the first place, even if she wasn't able to prevent it from happening completely. Because at the end of the day, you can do everything in the world to prevent a specific thing from happening. And I've learned that recently. Like, I've gone through something in my own personal life recently that taught me that, where I was like, oh, wow, like, even if you take all the necessary precautions, even if you try your best to like kind of like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? To like filter through your system to make sure that something doesn't happen, it still can happen to you. You can't, like, some things are just like, you can't stop it from happening. You have to just go through it. Some routes of life, it's like you can't go around, you have to go through, you know? It's like if there's a tunnel right in front of you, you sometimes, like, you can't go around the tunnel. You have to go through it. You have to go through that dark path in order to get to the other side, you know? So it's like, even if you do everything in your in the world to try to ensure that that doesn't happen to you, is sometimes that's how life goes. So I feel as though her reaction to the situation is proof why we should listen to her, rather than the fact that it happened to her at all being proof why she doesn't know what she's talking about. I think that we can learn from her just as much from seeing her make mistakes as we can from listening to her give us advice that should be able to prevent these mistakes from happening at all. This is proof that, look, I'm going to show you all the preventative measures for this not to happen to you. But even if you do all of that, because it's important for women to know that too, of like, even if you do everything correct, something still might happen, you know? So now too, what can we learn of like, when something does happen, what do you do next? What's the answer now? And one thing I love that she did is she didn't protect him. She didn't try to save face for herself, because not only was it like, okay, let me completely make sure that he goes under the bus and he loses me and he's never going to be able to get a woman like me again, and this, that, and the third. But it's also like, doing that in itself is humiliating for the woman. Look at this. It's like, bro, he did something wrong, and now she has to be embarrassed for something he did wrong. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that is, like, so messed up. So it's like, okay, like, I'm not gonna allow you trying to manipulate me with embarrassment as being the reason why I'm not gonna say what you just did, to be the reason you get to hide from what you've done, you know? Which I found so admirable on her part. And so yeah, so she decided to expose him for the horrible human being that he is. And she took a break and now she's back. And I just wanted to talk about her comeback video and some of the things that she was talking about and what we can learn from the Wizard Liz situation, because at the end of the day, this is a creative mastery channel. And we're here more to like discuss how to, you know, advance yourself through your creativity and using, you know, um your creative energy in order to advance your life in every way possible, you know. And I feel like Liz is a great example for us of like how to use your creativity to not fail in life, how to not let someone, especially for women. I feel like this subject is so important for creatives who are women, of like, what do you do as far as your love life and adding men into your life when you're trying to advance your life and you're trying to advance your creativity, and like somebody basically is out to ruin you, you know? Like, what do you do? And also, how do you navigate that? Because it becomes very difficult as women when you're like trying to advance yourself and while also trying to balance relationships, you know? Like a lot of times, like some people are just trying to get around you to hopefully ruin you. It's not the fact that they want to see you ruined, but it's the fact that they feel like someone is going to ruin you, so at least they get to have the name as the person who did it. You know, it's like ooh 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 ooh, it's me, like I got to do it. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like someone was going to have to do it. So at least it gets to be my name attached to her, even if my name won't be attached to anything else ever again. I got something to put my name in there ringing. Like, look at Landon. He even impregnated her to ensure that. And notice how he made sure not to cheat until after he impregnated her, because he knew, like, we just would have put him in the dust and never speak about him again if it wasn't for the pregnancy. It was like a thing where it's like he knew he couldn't cheat on her until she was pregnant because Liz won't put up with it. But he was hoping that if he gets her in enough of a vulnerable state, pregnant, you know, emotionally attached to him, involved with her career where now she posted him, like he just tried to pile on as many things as possible to make sure she's as vulnerable as possible to the idea of forgiving him, you know. So basically, some of the things that Liz was saying in her comeback video was that when she like met Landon, like one of the things that she regrets is that she doesn't feel as though she went into the relationship with the correct intentions, because she didn't really like him that much. Like, she wasn't really into him. And one of the things about her is she's not really somebody who falls for men for the sake of love. She more falls for them when they take care of her, because she feels as though she never really had that. So when men take care of her, she feels more of a draw to them than them as a person. Like, she doesn't really, it's hard for her to just fall in love with men, because she feels that fulfillment of like love and like, you know, people who care about her more from like her friends and her sisters and her brothers and her mom. Like, because she gets love in other relationships in her life, she doesn't really look to men for that. Like, when she looks at her relationships in the past, and like even her entering this relationship with Landon, it was more of like to fulfill the need of feeling protected and feeling like someone was taking care of her, less of that like she met Landon and was actually really genuinely infatuated with him or in love with him. And one thing I wanted to bring up about her saying that was that I have the like concept that I think men can tell when you don't like them. And I think that when you're putting up with a man that you don't genuinely like too much or care too much about, that when because they can tell that, like, even though they'll continue pursuing you while sensing that you don't like them much, they will pursue you with the background knowledge that they want to punish you for not liking them. So it's like, okay, like, you don't like me? Cool. I'm gonna make you like me, and once you finally do like me, I'm gonna punish you for initially not liking me. It's like, oh, how dare you not just meet me and immediately feel some sense of like immediate infatuation for me. Like, all right, let's see. I'm gonna play into every idea you have of what a man should be so that you finally do like me after I do whatever these 10,000 things that you need me to do. Um to like me. I'm gonna do all of those things. I'm gonna do it to the perfect T, to the way I believe that you want it to go, so that you can finally like me, so that I can punish you for not just liking me to like me, like just for not just liking me upon looking at me like I did for you. Like, you should have felt a way about me the minute you liked me, because she even said that he would like act like such a godly man, and he would act as though, he was so like morally, you know above it. So that's why it also came as such a shock. And I feel as though he knew that that's what she needed to think about him in order for her to let her guard down. I think that he was trying to play into whatever he thought that she needed to think about him to leave her open to finally get back at her for not liking him off rip. Like, I genuinely believe that a lot of men will literally enter a relationship with you for the sole concept of revenge. Some more things that she mentioned was that also Landon was the first man she introduced to her family. So I think that was another thing added to the let me get her in as much of a vulnerable position as possible. Like, she's introduced me to her family, her whole family loves me, she's introduced me to her audience, now the audience connects me with her regardless. She's having my baby, so she's gonna feel like attached to me because this baby will always have a part of me in it. She said he paid all her bills, so it's like, okay, like, not to say she can't pay her own bills, she clearly makes enough money to pay her own bills, but it's also like, when you're used to having that extra income, regardless of if you can afford to not have that extra income, it's still a level of reliance that you have on someone. It's just a one more little aspect of control that someone can have over your life, of like, okay, well, I pay the bills, I, am the father of this child. Your whole family associates me with being like the person who's gonna protect you and take care of you. So they're kind of laissez-faire about you a little bit right now too. Of like, Liz is taken care of, so we don't have to really worry about her too much. Just kind of like slowly ingratiating yourself into this woman's life as much as possible to kind of ensure that she's less likely to leave you regardless of whatever you do. Because the thing that he did to betray her didn't even have to be necessarily cheating. I feel as though he picked cheating because he knew that was going to be what would hurt her the most. Well, not maybe he knew, but he felt that would be what hurts her the most, because in those other aspects, such as paying her bills, it's kind of like, technically, she can afford to pay her own bills. It's nice that you do it, and it leaves her guard down just a little bit more, which is what the real reason of doing it was. Just like, let me get her guard a little more down so she's not paying as much attention, But it's not like, oh, if I stop paying her bills today, her bills will stop getting paid. It's like, if I stop paying her bills today, she has other means of paying her bills. She can pay her bills by herself, So that's why it wasn't like a financial abuse scandal of like, oh, like, you have to do this or else I won't pay the bills. Like, if it was that he felt was going to hurt her, or like he was messing up her mortgage or like something like that, he would have done that, but it's like those things are things that she never gave him access to. It's not like he gave her, like, I also, like, if she had let her guard down enough to, like, you know, throw all her bank information details at him and, like, have him be the main name on all her, you know, financial information and let him control those type of things, I feel as though he would have betrayed her in that type of way. But she never gave up that type of power. So he had to look around of, like, what is the ways I could betray her, and let me test to see if she so-called loves me enough to put up with me doing it, now that I have her finally in enough of a, what I believe is enough of a vulnerable state to kind of make her think that, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. And I think men do that a lot, where they just try to test you. It's like a test to see, like, let's see if she's the type to put up with this, you know? Let's see if she's the type to let me get away with, you know, doing this to her, because that will let me know if I can do more. Because if Liz had let him get away with just the texting, because technically he didn't meet this girl. He didn't actually have sex with her or any physical interactions with her. He didn't actually, you know, I think that he never even planned to actually meet that girl or talk to that girl or do anything with that girl. I think that he only wanted the text interaction to happen and for there to be proof of a text interaction to test Liz to see if she would just let it go hush. If she would just be like, you know what? All he did was text her, but if you ever, but just like, see if she'll just threaten him and be like, you know, if you ever do this again, what's it called? I'm gonna leave. You better never do this again. And if she had done that, he would have waited a bit and then done something else again. But, so this was really just a shit test, you know, of like, how much shit will she put up with? Right now, she's pregnant. Right now, she literally just exposed me in front of all of the internet as being her man. And she even said, one of the other things that she said in the video that was very interesting is, she even said in the video where she did the Q&A with him and she put him on her channel for the first time, oh yeah, like, you know, things are like, you should forgive each other, but like not if like the other person is texting someone or something like that. And she said that it's crazy that that's what she said in that video, just for that to end up being what happened, because her and Landon rewatched the video and they thought everything was fine. She didn't think anything other. Like, she really watched the video and thought everything was cool, everything was normal. Just for her, it's like she was saying that she feels like it was her intuition, just knowing that, like, you know, that something was going on, and she just said it like without even realizing. And although that could be true, like she does seem quite intuitive, and some other stuff that she did say, like for example, she had some dreams too that was giving her the idea that Landon was up to something and things like that. But although I do believe that she's intuitive, I think more likely happened is that Landon heard her say that and decided that's exactly what he's gonna do because she said that. I don't think it's like this right here is like a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg, you know? And in my belief of how I'm viewing everything and how I feel as though he was so calculated with every aspect of their relationship, down to how he met her, how he got her to finally take him serious, like every single aspect of how the relationship went feels very calculated by Landon. Because another thing she was mentioning was that every time she would accuse him of like, hey, are you up to anything weird? Like, I'm getting these weird feelings that like you might be doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. That he would, like, one of the things that would calm her back down with him being saying, and her sister also saying, like, he's literally always with you. He doesn't go anywhere. And she said, yeah, like, sometimes she would even kind of get annoyed of, like, you're always here. Like, go do something. Like, go find something to do. Like, you don't always have to be around me. Like, go back to the States, visit your family for a little bit, come back. Like, take a little break. Like, you don't always have to be up under me. You know what I'm trying to say? And it was, like, a thing of, like, he was always around her. So it was, like, even though she would feel a way about him maybe being up to something, she would always be calmed back down with the fact of like, oh, like, because one of the things her sister would say was like, if he was cheating, wouldn't he want to leave? Like, wouldn't, like, those moments where you're kind of like, oh, Landon, go take a break or go, go back to the States and stuff. Like, wouldn't he be looking for excuses to go somewhere? So then that way he would have the opportunity to cheat. Like, he's literally always with you. Like, you might just be like having past trauma seep into the relationship and be like gaslighting yourself into convincing yourself that he's up to something that he literally can't do. He's always with you. He doesn't have time to cheat. And that's what she was saying. And I feel as though because she said, unless it's like texting or something, he knew like, okay, I'm going to text someone and see what she does. Like, because she said that specific thing of like, I wouldn't put up with someone texting her. Like, I think that Landon has always like been obsessed with Liz. And because he's always been obsessed with her, like his idea, like that's how I think men always want to dismantle you. Of like, let me see if she's who she seems to be or claims to be. I want to be the person who puts the exact things that she says she wouldn't put up with in front of her face so that I can know if I'm above reproach, So it's like, because she said, unless he texts someone, I'm going to then text someone to see if like she gonna stand on business. Let me see if she stands on business, because honestly, for most people, just texting someone, they're going to be like, oh, text someone's not that big of a deal. You should forgive, da 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 da. But texting someone is just the first test. It's just the first line. If you don't stop it there, what do you think's next? Like, this is like a pattern recognition of like, what do you do and don't put up with? So I believe that what actually came next is that he heard her say that, and therefore he thought to himself, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So that way, right now, like, she relies on me for too much. Like, there's a baby coming, there's bills to be paid, there's, family to go visit, there's like, and she's like not in the mood. Like, pregnancy involves a lot of hormones. Like, she might just be just enough emotionally dysregulated to let this go. Let me see if she's serious about that specific thing. Because I think he knew, like, if he fully, because it's like, look, even the fact that he used cheating, remember I was mentioning about how, like, I think he picked cheating because he felt as though that's what she would feel as the most betrayal, because if he did other things, it wouldn't affect her life as much as, feeling as him doing this. I think that it's the same thing with the type of cheating he decided. Like, I think that's how calculated this man is. It's like, okay, but now that I've decided what type of method I'm going to use to test her betrayal, now what type of cheating am I going to do to also test it? And I think when he thought about it, he thought to himself, if I cheat, like if I go and physically find a woman and have sex with her, she will definitely not put up with that. Like, the type of woman she is and the person I've gotten to know over the time period we've been in a relationship, I'm 100% certain whatever state of mind she's in, her physical protection, like her physical, like her need to protect her own body of like not sharing, the body of a man who's been with another woman who she doesn't know, like that type of stuff, like sharing liquids and things like that with people is very, at risk as a woman. That's something that we take very seriously, of like, you don't want to risk your physical health playing in the dirt with a man who's just out here like slobbing on anybody. You know what I'm trying to say? That's disgusting. So I think that he knew that the way she cares about her own body, and she literally has a baby in her right now, that if he physically went and cheated on her with another woman where his body had been contaminated, that she would never put up with that. Like, that was something that it wouldn't even take 0.1 second for her to think about. So he was like, okay, that's not the type of cheating I can do. Like, I can't get away with that. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I don't think, because he even said it in his own apology where he was like, I didn't like want Liz to leave me. Like, I didn't want this to happen. This, that, third. That's not what I wanted. Da, 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 da. He was trying to tell us right there. He was trying to say, I was trying to do just enough where it was enough for her to forgive me, but enough for me to also have done something wrong. Because he felt as though if he did anything wrong, other than that, it wouldn't affect her and she would just leave without even thinking about him. Like, she didn't care that much about him. Like I said, I think this whole thing was a punishment for her not liking him that much. He knew that, like, all the other stuff that he could do to her, she would leave and not even think twice about it. She wouldn't even think about him anymore. He wouldn't even be really this wouldn't have been as big of a stepping stone and of like a whirlwind, like, oh my God, how do I regather my life again? You know what I'm saying? After this, it's like he wanted to be enough of a storyline in her life that she has to restructure her whole life around him now that he's done doing whatever he did. So it was like a thing of like, okay, if I betray her in these other ways, that's not gonna be enough that she actually remembers me. She might even forget that that we were in a relationship, other than the fact that there's this baby. So every once in a while, she might remember, oh yeah, Landon. Oof. Or she might just think of me as the baby's father. She wouldn't even think of me as like of the relationship part. She won't care. So it has to be a cheating thing for her to actually care. So I have to wait long enough into the relationship for it to feel enough of a betrayal that she cares. And then I also have to do the right type of cheating for her to potentially forgive me for the betrayal. So I can see, like, you know, now she'll be even more attached to me now that I've betrayed her and she forgave me for it. Because anything else, she wouldn't forgive me. She would just leave. She doesn't care about me that much. I'm just useful to her. Like, I just do enough of the things that she expects a man who's gonna want to be around her to do, that I know that that's the only reason she lets me stay in her presence. So I have to do this perfectly. He said it. I didn't actually even want her to leave. Like, I didn't want to end the relationship, this, that, and the third. He was like, what can I do to be a bad person and proof that she loves me even when I'm bad? You know? So it was like that. I think this whole thing was a shit test. You know? And Liz passed. And it, like, because she left. How you pass a test like this is disappearing off the face of the planet. And I also believe one of the things that Liz was saying was that she feels as though this whole thing was like a karmic relationship because she originally thought it was a soul relationship or something. I don't know what the word she used, but she just basically thought that he was her other half when she met him. But truly, she feels as though that the relationship was a karmic relationship. And that's why, like, it was able to, like, break her down so much. What, she didn't use the word break her down. It didn't break her down. She's actually looking like she's in good health and she's doing much better. But I'm just saying, like, kind of like break down her mentality a bit of like having to like I said before, of like needing to restructure your whole life post this happening to you. Because it's like once something like this happens to you, you're kind of like, okay, how do I prevent this from happening again? Because clearly there was something I'm missing where I did enough to allow this to happen. And literally, this was the last thing I wanted to happen, but I walked right into this happening. So it's like, I need to restructure how I think about life now, because all of the preventative measures I took for this not to happen created this exact thing to happen. So now I can't even trust my preventative measures, you know? And I think that a lot of times men will mirror you. Well, they'll act exactly like you to make you feel like you've met someone who's just like you so that they can do something horrible to you. Because they know if they act the way they truly behave, they will be exposed. Like, you will quickly not put up with it. You won't care. You'll just be like, well, okay, well, that's not me, so go about your day. You know? So they'll just act exactly like you. They'll do all the, like, look at how Landon was in that Q&A video giving us advice like he was Wizard Liz. She barely talked in that Q&A, bro. If you go back and watch the Q&A where she finally brought Landon on, he literally tried to take her job from her. He started saying all this stuff. Yeah, because you have to be like this and you never have to da-da-da. He was sounding so like her. And this brings me to a perfect segue to bring up how I first saw Landon. The first time I ever saw Landon on the internet, he wasn't even with Wizard Liz. He was with a friend of his in some sort of video or stream video. I don't know how this popped up on my shorts, on YouTube Shorts, but he popped up on my YouTube Shorts as giving advice to his friend about women. So he was like, basically, as a man, this is how you're supposed to act. And, you know, this is what we're supposed to be doing. And, you know, life is supposed to be like that. And everything he was saying, I was like, wow, like, he seems so familiar to me. You know who he sounds like? He kind of sounds like Wizard Liz to me. Like, this guy is like a male version of Wizard Liz to me. That's so weird. Like, I feel like he's like, I didn't really take him that seriously. I was just like, oh, he's probably just pandering. Like, he's probably seen videos of women similar to Wizard Liz that he's heard talk like this, and so now he's trying to create his own platform based off saying stuff he's heard women talk about, right? That's what I thought the first time I saw that video. I had no clue that he even knew Wizard Liz in real life, or that he was like, I didn't know who he was. I just thought random man, random algorithm mess up. Like, this was, I just accidentally popped up when it shouldn't have, and it is what it is. Like, I'm never gonna see him again. Then, just to find out, when I saw him on her channel, I was like, wait, don't I know? Like, haven't I seen this guy before? And the whole time, it was him. So he had been on other platforms already, like, literally perfected down her speech patterns, her cadences, her talking points to such a way where even without her sitting next to him, you thought she was in the room. Bro, I literally thought, I was like, bro, he sounds just like Wizard Liz. And so it was like, okay, like, he knew how to sound so much like her that she probably would listen to him talk and think like, oh my God, like, he's me. Like, I found myself in a man form. Like, I finally found someone who gets it, you know? Like, when you think that you found someone who gets it after knowing that, like, when you have certain type of mentalities, like, if you're the type of person who has a mental thought process that you know most people don't live by, it's very hard to find people who you resonate with on a deeper level. Like, even like if you look at Liz, most of her time is spent with her sister and her family. She doesn't really like, socialize that much. She more socializes with the people in her immediate surroundings. So it's like, you can tell, like, people who are like that, it's like, it's because they know most people don't get it, you know? So when you meet someone who sounds just like you, who everything they say you completely agree with, who, like, just feels as though you dang near are talking to a physical form of something you concocted in your own brain, do you know how, like, disarming that could be? Like, how you feel as though, like, finally like, I was wrong. I've been telling myself this whole time that no one exists like me, and, like, it's not going to be possible for me to find someone who gets it, and the universe brought it to me finally. Like, I've done whatever, I've gone through whatever things I need to go through in life to find the person who gets it, you know? And I think that's so crazy. Like, And that's what he did. He literally just went around her and mirrored her so much that she finally thought, like, oh my God, it's him. Like, I'll even let him have my baby. I'll let him meet my family, which I've never done before. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was her talking about how she would have dreams about him cheating, and then while he was cheating on her and she was watching him and like screaming at him and be like, what the hell are you doing, like this, that, and third, like, and yelling at him and the woman he was cheating on her with. And she said in the dream he would be looking at her, like the woman would look at her confused, like, why is she mad? And Landon would be trying to gaslight her into being like, wait, no, you're not supposed to be mad about this, it's okay, like this, that, and the third. I think that intuitively she knew he was a manipulator. I think that's where her intuitive really was knowing. I think her intuition knew that this man he's overly trying to seem as though he's above reproach, as though he doesn't do the things that other men do. Like, those are them. I'm like this special man who only you get to have. And I think she inherently knew that there's no such thing as a special man. There's no such thing as a I'm not like them type of man. There's no such thing as only you get to have this type of man. Like, I think a lot of women fall for that trap with men where they'll try to convince you that you're so special, you got to have the type of man that other women don't get to find. Like, you found that one gem of a man who doesn't, cheat on you, who doesn't dog you out, who doesn't try to make you feel insecure, who doesn't, like, all the typical things that women complain about men. Like, this, I'm the man who doesn't do all those things, And I think intuitively she knew that doesn't exist. So if that doesn't exist, and Landon hasn't shown any signs of being what a typical man is supposed to be, what is going on right now? What kind of fantasy is Landon trying to convince me I'm in? And like, what is his actual motive and what is he actually trying to get done here? Because it's like, right now, it doesn't seem like he's gaining anything other than what he's claiming to me is being truly in love with me. And I think she also knew that fantasy of like a man just loving you for the sake of loving you also doesn't exist. Like, everyone loves on terms. Everyone's here conditionally, especially men. Men know more than women, if anything, that there's no such thing as like being around someone for the pure sake of love, Like, they're less conditioned for that whole romance novelty than women even are. Like, even Liz mentioned that too, of like how she never like watched romance movies and like princess, like, like Disney, like fairy tale movies. She was never that type of girl who believed in that type of stuff. But like, so she's on the lower spectrum of the woman in that, right? But like, even in the woman, she's gonna more believe in that than any man will ever. Men know that stuff is like just dreams, They don't like that. That's not what they watch as kids. That's not what they like, fantasize about as kids. It's women who sit around fantasizing as kids about like a dream man coming and saving them from some sort of horrible experience, So I think that inherently that's what she was actually intuitively feeling. I don't think she intuitively knew that, oh, what he's going to do is text me or what he's going to do is... I think that because she intuitively knew he was going to do something, she didn't know what he would do. She knew he was going to do something that she manifested, letting him know what would be the thing that would make her upset, So she knew it was going to be something. She didn't know what it was going to be. But because she knew it was going to be something, her brain started racking, well, what would it be that would really destroy you or actually make you care? And her brain was like, oh, it would be this. If he tried to cheat on me and then try to get me to be okay with him cheating on me because I was too vulnerable, too in a position to like, feel embarrassed about exposing it. Like, if he tried to do all the things where I would be embarrassed publicly by him doing it, that would be the thing that would actually make me like, like, I would gasp at that. Anything else he did, like, I wouldn't really gasp. I would just be like, man. But if he did this, then I would gasp. Like, oh my God, he got me. So because she knew it was going to be something, her brain showed her what it was going to be. And then when she told him, he was like, oh, okay, this is the recipe. You know, that's what I believe personally. So, yeah, she talked about in the dream, like, he was trying to convince her that it was okay that he was cheating on her. And I think that, and then when she would tell him about that, he would scream and be like, what the hell? No, I'm not. I would never. This and the third. Swearing to God. And she was like, okay, well, you know, I felt heartbroken after this dream. Like, it felt so real. It felt like you were really doing this, that, and the third. And I think the minute and another thing she told him, like, she said earlier in the relationship, was that, hey, Landon, like, if you ever, like, not feeling this relationship, or you just, like, you're tired, because I think she realized too, like, he was doing a lot to be in the relationship. Like, he was paying all her bills. He sent her $10,000 to get her to talk to him. He was like, he would take 18-hour flights to get to her. Like, he would just basically buy flowers every single week. He was doing any and everything to present himself as the perfect man to her to be in this relationship. And I think she knew that this is a lot of effort for someone to go through just because they claim all they want to do is love you. Like, to do all this because their claim is just that they're in love with you. They want nothing back. Not to say, like, being around her isn't getting something back, but it's like men usually want, like, more, you know? Like, there's, like, they usually want to suck the life out of you, you know? So she was kind of like, she would tell him, she would be like, you know, if all of this is too much, because I think she knew too, like, well, you can do all this, but I'm still, like, it's not going to make me, you know, forgive you for certain stuff, or, like, change my patterns. Or, like, there's certain stuff that she's inherently stuck in her ways where it's like, there's not going to be, like, you doing all this isn't going to make me change. So if you ever feel like I'm not, you can't convince me to change because you're doing all of these things, and you're tired of doing all these things while me not changing to be the person who you're trying to convince me to be because you're trying to manipulate me by doing all these things, you can just leave. Like, it's okay. Like, she would tell him, she would be like, you know, just, like, if you ever are tired of the relationship, and you feel like there's something better out there, whatever it is, like, you know, you can leave. Like, I'll be okay. Like, you can leave the relationship. Just don't betray me. Like, don't do something to betray me if you're tired of the relationship. Just, it's okay, you know? And I think that the moment she told him, just don't betray me, is when he knew, I'm gonna betray you. I think that was the exact moment he knew that's exactly what he was going to do. He just needed to bide a little more time to figure out what was the best method of betrayal. I think that, like, when you tell men what it is you're scared of, or what it is you don't want them to do to you, or what it is, that's exactly when they take it as, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Like, as the minute you tell them what you don't want to happen to you, is when they want to be the person who did that thing that you didn't want to happen to you. Because it's like, ooh, like, now I always get to have a storyline in her life. If I don't do any of these things, she's a boss. She's, like, really that girl. Like, she's really getting things in her life. She's having her way in life right now, you know? Things are going her way. So if I don't do enough to upset her before I go, she really will just keep having her way in life and keep moving on without me. This really won't be a hiccup to her. There really won't be. Within 6 months, she'll forget about me. I want to have her. I want to be in the memories. I think that's what it was. Like, when she said that, when she was like, oh, I told him just don't betray me, I was like, that's when he knew he was going to do it. He decided to cheat on her the moment she said that. He was like, to him, it was like, how dare you not care if I leave because I'm sick of you? Okay, so I'm gonna have to betray you on my way out in order for you to care. Because if I just leave, you're not gonna care. And my ego won't allow that. You gotta care when I go. I gotta do something. And I also think, to add on to the fact of the manipulation of like her seeing in the dream that he was trying to convince her that it was okay that he was cheating on her. I think that he also wanted to be able to have her be confused how she miscalculated the person he was. So I think he not only wanted to be able to leave with still having her have a memory of him and care that he's gone and care that he betrayed her and this, that, and the third. I think he also wanted her to question her own reality as he left. I think that this whole thing was like a whole like thing in his head where he wanted her a little bit confused as she left of like, wait, am I crazy? What's wrong with me? Like, he wanted her to be as insecure as he is. Because that's another thing she mentioned, that he said that the reason he did it was because he's insecure. I think that the reason he did it was because he's insecure, but I think that also because he knew he couldn't get her to be insecure. So because he felt insecure, he wanted her to be insecure, but he knew things like, verbal abuse of like being like, girl, that's why you're not even that pretty, or men do that kind of thing to many women. But if it works on you as a woman, I think he knew that type of abuse wouldn't work on Liz. Like, he couldn't just talk her into being insecure. He didn't have it like that verbally. Like, he didn't have the sauce to be able to get her in that way. Because look at even how he talked verbally. He took everything he knew how to say from her. So he can't use her own verbiage on her. Girl, you gotta try that on someone else. I'm the creative of your verbiage, So it's like he knew he couldn't get her to be insecure by making her insecure by telling her things about herself, because she would just be like, whatever. I'm not insecure. You're the one who's insecure. I don't care what you think about me. Because I think too, he knew that she didn't care what he thought about her. She knew who she was as a person. And she felt good about herself as a person, right? So he was like, what I'll do is I'm going to make her question her judgment. That's something she values, that she's able to see through people, that she knows what's up and what's down, that I want her to question whether gravity is coming up to down or down to up. That's how I'm going to make her insecure as I feel. I feel insecure about my looks, about my value, about my ability to be liked, about all these other things about me. So I know that what she values is her ability to know things, to be able to teach other people things. Like, her whole career is based off teaching. So, a lot of people on the internet were saying he wanted to ruin her career and mess up everything. That's why he waited till after she showed him to us and this, that, and the third. I don't think he wanted her to ruin her career, because I think the way that Liz is kind of established at this point, the amount of subscribers she has, the amount of internet currency she has, there's not really anything she can do to kind of escape from the zeitgeist of the internet. I think that he wanted her to question her ability to continue the career after him. Of if I couldn't even see through Landon, then how can I trust myself to continue to teach my audience of what to look for? Now I'm insecure every single time I post a video of oh my God, what if this bites me in the butt later, of this advice that I gave ends up being the exact advice that I get ruined by. And then now everyone knows that my advice is not good. Because my currency as my job is me being able to give you guys good advice. Now every single time I'm trying to give you guys advice, I'm going to double think about whether or not my advice is good. So now he wanted her to be permanently insecure about whether or not she can be as good at her job as she is. I don't think he really cares about whether or not her career is successful or not. Like, I think he is kind of jealous that her career is like that. Certainly, there's a layer of that in it, but I think that the heavier layer is him trying to get her to feel the way he feels about himself. I think a lot of times the way someone wants you to feel is how they feel about themselves. You know? And I think that that's the segue into the fact that one of the things she mentioned is that he has like a mother wound where his mother and him don't have the greatest relationship, and she noticed that both him and her ex had this thing where it's like if she was too nice to them, they would kind of like be like get the ick from her of like, oh, why is she being nice to me? But when she started being mean to them, that's when they would start acting correct again and start like treating her better. They would treat her the better, the worse she treated them, and worse, the better she treated them. When she would actually start to like them, actually start to show them affection, actually start to show them that they did have some sort of value in her life, that's when they would start to get the ick from her. And I think that the real reason, like, although the mother wound definitely probably plays a fact in it too of why this gives them satisfaction, I think that also Landon wanted an excuse to betray her. So it's like, oh, I need you to think that I like it when you're mean to me. So then that way, when I finally do something to you to betray you, I can also use the fact that you're mean to me as being the reason why I did it. You know, I'm going to force your hand into behaving a certain way, so then I can use that behavior as my manipulation tactic as to why I reacted this way. Because if not, you'll have to know the real reason. I think that that's how calculated this man is. Like, he seems as though like he thought of every single step of his like mental processes of like, I'm even going to pre-plan what it is the reason I'm gonna tell you I did this. So that way you don't have to know the real reason, which is that I want you to be insecure. I'm insecure, but it's not enough for me to just be insecure. I need you to feel the way I feel insecure. That's why I've been mirroring you this whole time. Because I want to feel like you, but in order for me to genuinely feel like I'm you, I need you to also finally feel the way I feel so I can fully embody you. Until you feel the way I feel, I won't feel like I'm you completely. That's why I've been mirroring you so you think that I'm you, but you need to be me too. Like, you didn't get that side of me of it so we can fully just both be the same person. I need to enmesh myself with you. You know, this is the dangers of being a creative who is trying to also have a relationship, because as we see, for example, Liz had to take like months-long break from the internet. Liz, like, although she was able to bounce back, like, I feel like that is the lesson that we're supposed to learn here as creatives and on our creative mastery journey of like, how do you bounce back from relationship issues and not allow your creativity to be stifled by other people trying to ruin you, you know? And of the fact that you need to bounce back. That's the most highly important part of all this. Of like, don't allow these things to ruin your creativity. If anything, that's when you dive into it more, you know? And these are like the signs and like the underlying reasons and like the underlying methods that people will use in order to potentially stifle you creatively. And what are the things that can happen to you too that potentially will become creative stifles, you know? The lesson we've learned from Liz is how to handle it gracefully, honestly. That's the biggest lesson we learned. Because I think that she took the whole situation very elegantly, that she handled it very smoothly, you know? She didn't allow it to be as messy as it could have been. Because it could have been way messier. She could have really like swept it under the rug because of embarrassment and then allowed him to continue and then do something else to make it even messier. And then when the new mess comes out, then it's like, oh yeah, but y'all didn't even know that months ago she had caught him for this and she hadn't even said anything. But then this happened and now it's been too much and da, da, da. Like it could have been even messier, or even like post exposing him, she could have just like continued to drag him on the internet or done some back and forth exchange with a girl and be like, no, you're accusing him and it's a lie. And like she could have done way more stuff for it to be messy. Or even like the comeback, like how she fully took accountability. She was like, look, these are the mistakes I made. This is how I kind of had an idea of the fact that this might have happened, might be potentially something that was going to happen, but I ignored this. Like this is all the steps of what I did for me to get to this point, you know? And I'm going to be in your face in front of this situation and not try to hide from my mistakes. But I'm also not going to allow you guys to take my mistakes as a reason why I should quit my career. You know, because that's kind of what people were trying to bully her into, of like, see, now you've proven that you don't know what you're talking about, so fall off the face of the earth. And it's like, no, you're right, I did make mistakes, but you're also not going to convince me that I'm also not a valuable perspective for women to understand how to improve their life. You know, I improved my life by getting rid of this succubant. So now what you've learned from me is what not to do to get to this point, but also how to react after it happens. Because if you just couldn't prevent it, life is about learning. What have I learned now, and what can you learn from what I've done? You know? So yeah,